Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Drytron Yugioh deck profile for December 2020. With the release of Genesis Impact following up from the Evil Twins deck, I wanted to do the Drytron deck. It was the second deck I got the most support from the boxes I've opened so far and cards I've traded for. It's a really interesting deck that focuses on ritual summoning a bunch of different monsters using the attack points of the Drytron monsters you control instead of the actual levels, which works very well for the fact that the Drytron level 1 monsters have pretty high attack and their ritual has pretty high level. So using their ritual spell for this playstyle, definitely an interesting take on ritual summon that just works very well for a bunch of different, ritual engines that you can use all together for the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual Drytron ritual monsters, I only run the one Drytron Meteonis Quadrandids. With this one, you can ritual summon this card with Meteonis Drytron. Your opponent cannot target this card with spell, trap cards, or effects, and you can only use each of the following effects of Drytron Meteonis Quadrandis. I really hope I pronounced that as best as I could. Once per turn, if the total level of monsters used for this card's ritual summon were 2 or less, you can destroy all spell or trap cards your opponent controls. And if the ritual summon card is destroyed, you can special summon Drytron monsters from your graveyard except Drytron Meteonis Quadrandis, whose total combined attack equals 4,000. So yeah, like I said, the Drytron monsters attack are all 2,000, making it that much easier for you to summon these monsters because they can only be summoned by the effect of a Drytron monster, and you only need the 2 to summon out your Quadrandis for most of the plays altogether. So it's your main go-to ritual summon for the deck as a whole, making it so this engine works very well together for that play style. For the level 1 Drytron monsters, I run 3 Drytron Alpha Thuban. With this one, it cannot be normal summoned or set, which is a very important card effect that'll, play a role later on when we get to some of the spell cards. With this card, it must be special summoned with the effect of a Drytron card. You can tribute one other Drytron monster or one ritual monster from your hand or field to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Then you can add one ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters except monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set the turn you activate this effect. You can only use this effect of Drytron Alpha Thuban once per turn. So with it, you have the option to search out your main go-to ritual boss monster in the deck with just summoning this card out onto the field, and the fact that it can work from the graveyard makes it all the better for you just to get resources back onto the field for all of those plays. So very useful for this, and then just more and more setup for more and more search for all your different ritual cards. And I also run 3 Drytron Zeta Aldehiba, I believe is, once again, these are some pretty crazy names for sure. Once again, cannot be normal summon or set. It must be special summon with the effect of a Drytron card. You contribute one other Drytron monster or one ritual monster from your hand or field to special summon this card from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Then you can add one ritual spell from your deck to your hand. You cannot special summon monsters except the ones that cannot be normal summon or set the turn you activate this effect. And you can only activate the effect of Aldehiba once per turn. So more search power with the important spell card in the deck being our go-to ritual, which is Meteonis Drytron. So being able to search this card out means that we have access to all of our different ritual plays in the deck, because like I said, it's probably the most important card in the entire deck for setting up all of our ritual plays, but just more and more setup. And once again, a 2,000 attack level 1 monster means it's just another target that can be special summoned once our boss monster leaves the field also. And I also run 2 Drytron Gamma L10 Mim with this one, with the same restriction for the special summon, and being that it can't be normal summoned with this setup. Being able to special summon one Drytron monster with 2,000 attack when you summon this card from your graveyard, except for this card means that it gets around the special summon restriction, just giving you more and more Drytrons on the field for the setup, and then just the same level restriction. I only run the 2 of it though. You have search power with your Aldehiba and also your Alpha Thuban, so having resources for the search, but you have to have the graveyard set up already with Altanin, so this card basically comes in more importantly later on during the duel. That's why I'm only running 2, so we don't see it show up as often, and you have plenty of search power in this deck for all of the different cards. For the last of the Drytron monsters, I run 1 Drytron Delta Altaze. With this one, same restrictions, and also basically you special summon this card from your hand or graveyard in defense position, then you can reveal 1 ritual monster or ritual spell in your hand, and if you do draw 1 card, you cannot special summon for except for the rest of this turn, but you have to have the setup. That's why I only run the one of. You can mix and match if you want to try additional numbers with some of the other monsters we're running to increase the numbers of Eltanin and Altaiz in the deck. You could try removing the hand trap options, but you're not really limited to hand trap plays in this deck. That's why just the normal summon or set plays using these cards, but still you have all of them working pretty consistently with one another. For the other ritual monsters that I run in the deck, with the tribute being a big part of the Drytron cards, I also run 3 Cyber Angel Benton. With this card, you can ritual summon it, obviously, with the spell, if you wish, being the fact that this card can be used to ritual summon any ritual monster from your hand or graveyard, and then tributing machine-type monsters from your hand or field, total attack exceed the attack or equal it, which means that you have an easy way to summon out Benton onto the field using your spell card. But we also use it for the fact that if you tribute this card, even from your hand, you can add 1 light fairy monster from your deck to your hand. So more search power. You can even search out Benton herself with this play, having more and more hand resources. And we run a few other, useful fairy type monsters that can definitely shut down your opponent and their plays altogether in this deck. For the last of the ritual monsters, I run 1 Saravis, the Ancient and the Ascended. It's another hand trap play, being able to discard this card to negate the activation when a card or effect targets a monster you control. So more protection for our monsters on the field, but you can also ritual summon it using, some of the other Drytron cards if you want to get on the field for just some other additional special summon plays. For the fairy type monsters that you can also search with Benton, that's still my favorite play to go for in the deck. I run 1 Vanity's Ruler and 1 Herald of Orange Light. For this, you have effect negation with your Benton for the discard once you get the additional search, or even having another one in your hand already, let's say with other search methods, being able to discard this and just stopping one of your opponent's effect activations, and just being able to summon out Vanity's Ruler. It cannot be special summoned, but you can still tribute for it in the field. So being able to, then your opponent cannot special summon monsters, and it only says your opponent, so you're not limiting yourself to the special summon with this card. Being able to have this card on the field, but still perform your own summons is a big play for sure altogether. And then to finish off the monsters in the main deck, I also run 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, just my hand trap of choice in the deck. But like I said, if you didn't want to run hand traps in the deck, you can always increase the numbers of your Gamma Altanin and Delta Altaiz for the lineup, or you can even try adding in additional ritual monsters for the lineup. You can add in Chalice Slimes, which work very, very well with the Incantation lineup, which is why I don't enjoy them as much in the deck, because you really want that low-level monster play for all of your setup, and then having the option or that spot in the hand trap means you can also try some other Cyber Angel monsters. They work well with the tribute effects, and Benton overall for the search power, focusing on the light fairy type monsters, but that's player preference at that point also. That's it for the monsters. When I move on to the spells, I run the 1 Meteonis Drytron ritual spell. You only need the 1. It's that searchable with this deck, and it's also that recyclable. This card can be used to ritual summon any ritual monster from your hand or graveyard. You must also tribute machine monsters from your hand or field whose total attack equal or exceed the attack of the ritual monster you ritual summon. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 Drytron monster you control. It loses exactly 1,000 attack, and then at the end of your turn, your opponent's turn, if it does, add this card to your hand. You can only use this effect of Drytron once per turn. So the biggest weakness would obviously be if your opponent banishes cards from your graveyard, or if they DD Crow it. But more importantly, it's just needed for that 1 recycle power. The multiples could potentially be used in the deck, but you have so much search power to search out this spell that I really only feel you need the 1 to play altogether. For some of the other search power, I also run 3 of the field spell, which is Drytron Fafnir. With this one, when this card is activated, you can add 1 Drytron spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So there's the search power right there, except for this card. This activation and activate effects of ritual spell cards cannot be negated. And once per turn, if a monster is normal or special summon face up while you control a Drytron monster, except during the damage step, you can reduce that monster's level by 1 per 1,000 of its current attack, minimum level 1 for the rest of this turn. It's more setup, but that search power especially to search out our go-to ritual spell, which makes this card very, very important for all of the setup altogether. But the true powerhouse for the spell lineup would definitely be Drytron Nova, which we also potentially want to run 3. I only have the 2 so far. Hopefully they can get 1 more to complete the playset. You special summon 1 Drytron monster from your deck, but destroy it during the end phase. You can only activate 1 Drytron Nova per turn. And you cannot special summon monsters except monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set their turn you activate this card. Just more special summon power. And when you summon out that Drytron monster onto the field, you have set up for all of your other plays and the additional effects of the Drytron monster that you may have summoned out. Search power, you name it, you have that monster on the field and you're ready to go with that play style, especially for all of your different cards on the field. For more generic ritual support, I also run 3 Preparation of Rites. You add 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand, then you can add 1 ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand, so that much faster to add Meteonis Drytron to your hand, but also just being able to search my favorite ritual monster in the deck that we run, which is Benton, to your hand to use for the tribute of all your other different Drytron monsters. Makes this an essential 3 of in the deck for sure. For more search power for our level 1 machine type monsters, I also run 3 Cyber Emergency. When I originally saw this card, I thought, why people were running in the deck, I thought there might have been a Cyber Dragon monster, but actually you just add 1 light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, which specifies all the Drytron level 1 monsters. So very, very useful there for sure. And then just being able to have that option for this card for that consistency, very, very good. It's just a searcher that was basically made for the Drytron when it was actually made for the Cyber Dragons. Now the ratio I've been trying back and forth with are with the Where Art Thou's and the Extra Foolish Burial. You have the option if you want to take out more of the Extra Foolish Burials and add in additional Where Art Thou. They won't really affect the number of Herald of the Arclights that we're running in the extra deck, because you do have the option with Herald of the Orange Light to summon that card out into the field normally, instead of just sending it to the graveyard for search power with your Extra Foolish Burial. But Where Art Thou can also search out any of the level 1s. You won't normal summon them, so you will take some damage. That's why I kind of try and change the ratios of these 2 cards in the deck, just because one burns life pretty quickly, and so does the other. So running them together, you just want to increase your numbers as best as you can with this lineup, and choose the numbers that you prefer the most. I might go 2 of this and 1 Extra Foolish Burial, but that's again up to the player at that point. For the rest of the one-ofs for the spells, I run 1 Foolish Burial and 1 Terraforming. Terraforming searching out the Drytron field spell, and Foolish Burial just setting up more of the Drytrons in our graveyard to potentially be summoned back onto the field using some of our other ones, or even just setting up graveyard plays for more recycled power. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. The only trap I'm running in the deck is Infinite Impermanence. Once again, as I always do, if you don't have this card to use in the deck and you want to keep the Ash Blossom hand trap spot for the option there, you can always add in the additional ritual monsters if you wish with this spot. You can increase your number of the Saravis, or you can go for the additional Cyber Angel spots for this last spot and just not run any traps in the deck, focusing more on the different ritual summons you can do with all of your cards that you run in the deck. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 1 Link Karibo. You run plenty of level 1 monsters to make this card very, very useful for sure. In the setup, 1 Crystron Halqifibrax, especially useful if you plan to increase your number of Herald of the Orange Lights. But we also have the Ash Blossom play, and then Herald of the Orange Light being able to use to summon this card out for that setup. And then having Benton also gives us access to level 8 Synchro plays in the extra deck once we have those monsters on the field. Also 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Cross Sheep for the ritual plays when we can make use of them, 1 Union Carrier, 1 Barricade Board Blocker for the field spell recycle, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Apollosa, Bow of the Goddess, 1 Borreload Dragon, 1 Herald of the Arclight. Actually, that's my mistake, because now we're moving on to the synchros. Like I said before, we have 2 Herald of the Arclight in the extra deck for the 2 spots for the extra Foolish Burials. But like I said, if you increase the number of 2 Where Art Thou's and then just 1 extra Foolish Burial, you can still keep the 1 copy in here, because you have the option with Herald of the Orange Light for the summon and all the level 1 monsters to summon this out through a synchro summon still. And then for the rest of the synchros, I run 1 Borreload Savage Dragon and 1 Psyframe Lord Omega. You can summon out the Borreload Savage or the Omega, like I said, with the Herald of the Orange Light being a tuner, and then just having Benton on the field being the play you need for either one of these monsters, and then having the potential Link monster in the graveyard to summon out to equip onto one of these. Also, just the Savage Dragon. Obviously, you're going to be using the Omega for the banish plays when you summon that card out. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. As for the plays to go for in the deck, like I said, the big ones are to set up the special summons on the field for the Drytron monsters, because when you summon out your ritual monster with your spell, you will have that set up to go for by activating this, and the 2 requirements will be met, with both of them having 2,000 attack, which equal the attack of the ritual monster you summon out into the field, and having either just one of these cards is enough to summon Benton out on the field, but also being able to summon any of the other rituals as long as they don't don't exceed the 4,000 attack. You can also run, if you have it from the new pack, being that much easier to gain access to, Herald of the Ultimateness, which you can also have the fairy lineup to work with these cards. But once again, just going down to player preference if you want to go for more of a budget option as well. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be working on the Magistus deck from the Genesis Impact set as well for hopefully the next video, if not, definitely coming up soon. So look forward to that. But once again, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.